There is a fire inside every man. Most let it burn them. A few learn to control it. This is not motivation. This is awakening. A return to silence, to power, to purpose. Arcano, master your energy. Master your destiny.
There comes a moment in every man's life when noise stops working, when all the outer searching ends, and the promises of the world no longer fill the emptiness inside. Then comes silence. Not the kind that comforts you, the kind that confronts you, the one that forces you to look at yourself without distraction, without excuses, without masks. That is where mastery begins. That is where Arcano is born. This path is not for everyone. It's a call that few can hear and many choose to avoid. Because inner mastery is not gained through shouting or motivation. It is found when you dare to face your own shadow, when you accept that your mind is both your worst enemy and your only tool. To master yourself is not to conquer the world, but to stop needing to. For years you were taught to seek outside yourself, success, validation, pleasure, recognition. You were trained to compete, not to understand. And in that race you lost touch with what really matters, the energy that lives within you. That invisible force that shapes how you think, act, and feel. You've been spending your power on what doesn't build you. You've confused movement with progress. And in doing so, you've lost strength. Arcano doesn't promise you anything. It won't offer you formulas, shortcuts, or quick rewards. Arcano returns you to yourself, to the root, to the source you forgot. Every impulse you don't control pulls you away from your center. Every desire without direction steals your focus. Every time you give in to what's easy, you give away a part of your power. There is no punishment, only consequence. The man who doesn't master his energy is mastered by it. When you learn to contain your fire, you realize it was never your enemy. It was your tool. Sexual energy, anger, ambition, desire, fear, all of it is power without form. Uncontrolled, it consumes you. Directed, it transforms you. Your fire was never meant to destroy you, but to forge you. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is total presence. It is awareness in every breath, in every thought, in every choice. When a man learns to live in silence, he begins to hear his real purpose. Purpose is not something you find outside. Purpose is something you remember. It's written inside you, beneath distraction, beneath doubt. Inner mastery is not a permanent state. It's a daily practice. Every thought is a battle. Every impulse, a test. Every day, a chance to strengthen your control. And discipline is not repression, it is direction. The man who has no direction scatters his energy, and the one who scatters it dissolves. Modern society has domesticated you. It taught you to seek instant gratification, to depend on others' approval, to confuse pleasure with power. But true power doesn't need to be shown. True power is felt. It's in the eyes of the one who doesn't need to speak, in the calm of the one who doesn't react, in the certainty of the one who knows his fire and saves it for when it matters. Arcano is not a message, it is a reminder. What you are does not need to be created, only awakened. Your strength is not something to learn, but something to remember. Your purpose is not something to find, but something to activate. The return begins the moment you decide to look within and hold that gaze, even when it hurts. Inner mastery is a kind of war, but the only enemy is yourself. Your mind will set traps. It will tell you you're tired, weak, hopeless. But the mind doesn't know truth from lies. It only repeats what you teach it. Teach it to obey. Teach it that silence is not weakness, but control. In stillness, your truths appear. There you see who you are, without illusion. There you realize that your energy is not meant to be wasted on empty desires, but raised above them. Every second you choose awareness over impulse, you become stronger. Every time you choose silence over noise, you move closer to mastery. You don't need to prove anything. Your transformation needs no witnesses. The truly powerful man doesn't seek to be seen. He seeks to be real. Mastery is not measured in words, but in presence. When you enter a room and say nothing, but everyone feels it, that is power. When you act from calm instead of reaction, that is mastery. When nothing outside can shake what you've built inside, that is freedom. ARCANO is that process, the path of turning chaos into structure, of transforming energy into purpose, of returning to your original essence, free from the noise of the modern world. And every step on that path begins in the same place, within you. No one will do it for you. No one can control you once you master yourself. Your body, your mind, and your energy answer only to one will, yours. But to awaken it, you must first face yourself, sit in silence, look into your fire without fear, understand that within chaos there is order, and within silence there is power. This is not motivation. This is memory. It is who you were before you forgot, and it is who you will become again. Once you silence the noise and listen to the pulse that has always been there. Your energy is your currency, your mind, your temple, your purpose, your sword. In mastery, there are no spectators, only you, your shadow, and your fire. When a man learns to walk with both, he stops being afraid. And when he stops fearing, he begins to create. That is true freedom, not escaping the fire, but learning to walk within it. This is the beginning. ARCANO doesn't seek followers. It seeks the awakened. And if you have come this far, you already are one. There is an energy inside you that never goes out. No matter how many times you ignore it, it always returns. You feel it when you look, when you desire, when you move. It's the force that drives you, and the same one that can destroy you. That energy is called fire, and its oldest name is desire. Desire is not the enemy. Desire is the test. The weak man chases it. The wise man directs it. That's the difference between being consumed and being transformed. Your inner fire wasn't placed in you to be wasted on momentary pleasure. It was given to you to become power. You were raised in a culture that taught you to give in, to release every impulse, to confuse pleasure with freedom. But freedom without direction is just another form of slavery. Every time you seek instant relief, you chain yourself a little more to your body. Every time you choose control, you set yourself free. It's not about repression, it's about mastery. Repressed fire destroys, directed fire illuminates. Your sexual energy is the substance of creation. It's not a myth or a mystical theory. It's biology, electricity, life force. It is the spark that moves you to act, the same that can either build you or burn you. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat carries that energy. And every time you waste it, you lose focus, clarity, and direction. Modern men have forgotten what it means to hold their power. They think giving in to impulse makes them free. But true freedom comes from control. The man who controls himself controls everything. You don't need to fight your desire. You need to understand it. Desire isn't defeated by force. It's transformed through awareness. When you feel the impulse, don't reject it. Observe it. Breathe and hold it. That pause is the beginning of mastery. That's when you teach your body who's in charge. That's when the animal becomes conscious. The energy that once left you without purpose begins to stay within. And as it builds up, it turns into focus. At first, you feel it as tension. Then, as clarity. Your mind sharpens. Your presence grows heavier. Your gaze becomes steady. The man who controls his sexual energy changes. He walks with intention. He doesn't talk about power. He radiates it. His energy is dense, controlled, magnetic. He doesn't seek attention, but people notice when he enters a room. Not because he demands it, but because his fire is contained. Control creates presence. When you constantly release your energy, your body empties. You lose drive, your mind scatters, your ambition fades. Instant pleasure kills long-term purpose, and without purpose, a man withers. That's why so many feel lost. They've mistaken satisfaction for fulfillment. Fulfillment doesn't come from release, but from control. Desire cannot be destroyed. It can only be refined. When you master it, it becomes creativity, vision, and willpower. The same energy that pushes you toward pleasure can be used to build, to learn, to evolve. But that requires containment. Containment isn't fear, it's power. Contained power can be felt. It's that inner tension that doesn't seek escape because it already has direction. When you learn to redirect your energy toward your purpose, you become unshakable. The body obeys the mind obeys the will. That is the hierarchy of mastery. Fire stops being your enemy and becomes your most precise weapon. The transmutation of sexual energy is the art of turning impulse into purpose. It's not something you study, it's something you practice. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you are transmuting. Every time you build instead of consume, you are ascending. Every time you wait when your body screams for release, you are forging strength. True strength is not physical, it's mental. It's the ability to stand firm when no one is watching, when the world shouts and you choose silence. The man who masters his energy stops being a slave to it. He no longer needs approval. He no longer needs distraction. He no longer tries to fill emptiness with noise, bodies, or screens. He is full of himself, of his own presence. His energy no longer leaves as desire. It flows out as creation. Every word, every movement, every action carries the weight of his transformed fire. That is the difference between the common man and the arcane man. Your fire doesn't die. You learn to live within it, to use it to temper yourself, not burn yourself, to turn tension into vision, to transform desire into calm. Self-control doesn't take away pleasure. It gives you power. And when you realize that power feels better than impulse, there's no going back. Arcano is that point where you stop asking the world for permission and start ruling yourself. Where your body no longer decides for you, you decide for it. Where your fire no longer leaks, it condenses. And when that condensed energy meets purpose, it becomes unstoppable. Don't talk about mastery, practice it. Don't chase recognition, seek clarity. Inner mastery doesn't need an audience. It needs discipline. Every thought, every day, every impulse is a chance to strengthen your control. And in that silent practice, without applause, without witnesses, the transformation begins. Mastering your energy isn't a trend. It's a return to what ancient men already knew. That fire must be kept, not wasted. That silence teaches more than noise. That control is not a prison, it's freedom. Your energy is the source of all you can become. Keep it, direct it, make it your ally. And when you do, you'll discover that power was never outside. It was in what you chose not to give away. That is the true secret of mastery. That is the essence of inner fire. That is ARCANO. And for some, the path doesn't end here. Some men feel the silence calling louder. They need to go deeper, beyond words and ideas. They know mastery is not learned by watching, but by practicing. That the mind needs discipline and energy needs direction. For those few, there is a parallel path, a private one. For those ready to work on themselves at another level. Not everyone will understand it. Only those who feel the fire will know where to find it. A man without purpose walks in circles. No matter how hard he works, he ends up in the same place. Tired, confused, empty. Because energy without direction fades. And a mind without purpose turns into noise. Purpose is not a goal. It's a compass. It doesn't tell you when you'll arrive, but it reminds you where to walk. For a long time, you've looked for meaning in what you do. But purpose doesn't come from action. It comes from intention. It's not about results, it's about direction. You can work endlessly, conquer everything, and still feel lost. Because meaning doesn't come from achievement, it comes from clarity. Purpose is born from silence. When the noise of the world fades, when you no longer care who's watching, who approves, or who claps, that's when it appears. Purpose doesn't shout, it whispers, and only those who have learned to be quiet can hear it. Your mind is a battlefield. Every thought is an order. If you don't control it, it controls you. An undisciplined mind becomes its own prison. That's why mastering your energy and emotions is not enough. You must master your attention. Because where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy flows, your reality grows. If you think about fear, you grow fear. If you think about doubt, you feed doubt. But if you think about purpose, you create direction. The mind obeys the one who trains it. And training isn't about strength. It's about focus. Learn to observe without reacting. To think without believing every thought. To direct your attention like a weapon. A directed mind is the tool of mastery. Many men seek motivation, but motivation is unstable. It's born from emotion and dies with it. Purpose, on the other hand, doesn't depend on how you feel. It's a decision you keep even when you don't feel like it. Purpose is a promise to yourself. Discipline is the daily proof of that promise. You don't have to feel ready to move forward. You just move. Clarity doesn't come before action. It comes during it. Direction appears as you walk, not as you wait. The man of mastery doesn't wait for permission. He acts. His purpose is his guide. His energy is his fuel. His mind is his tool. He doesn't look for quick results. He looks for consistency, because he knows that the strongest fire is not the one that burns fast, but the one that burns steady. Purpose doesn't need to be grand. It doesn't have to change the world. It only has to be yours. Once you find it, every day becomes training. Every action becomes a statement. Every obstacle becomes a test. And every victory becomes a consequence. Your purpose is where your energy and your silence meet. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's not about being admired. It's about respecting yourself. Every time you act in line with what you know is right, you strengthen your mind. Every time you betray that knowledge, you weaken your power. There's no greater enemy than inner inconsistency. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions move in the same direction, you become unstoppable. Not because the world obeys you, but because you no longer need it to. A man with purpose doesn't control others. He controls himself. And when he does, everything around him starts to align. The world responds to the man who knows what he wants, because energy follows direction. Don't confuse purpose with desire. Desire seeks pleasure. Purpose seeks growth. Desire pushes you outward. Purpose pulls you inward. When your life is driven by purpose, every day has meaning, even pain, because even suffering has direction. ARCANO teaches that mastery isn't rigid control, it's silent clarity. To control is not to suppress, it's to direct. To direct is not to force, it's to align. Your mind is not your enemy, it's your strongest ally. But if you don't train it, it will be used against you. The man who is ruled by his mind lives exhausted. The man who rules his mind lives in peace. Not because he has no problems, but because he no longer needs them to define who he is. Purpose turns chaos into order. The mind shapes it. Energy sustains it. That is the trinity of inner mastery: fire, focus, direction. When the three align, a man stops reacting and begins to create. He stops surviving and starts building. He stops searching and starts being. Your mind must become sacred ground. Don't let just anything enter it. Don't let random thoughts take root. You are the guardian of your mind, and every thought is a seed. Protect what you plant, because what grows inside your mind will one day bloom in your life. Purpose isn't something you find outside. It's been waiting inside you all along. You just need the courage to face yourself without distraction. Everything you seek, control, clarity, power, is already within you, scattered. Your work is to bring it all together, your energy, your mind, your will, in one direction. When that happens, the world aligns with your steps. There's no destiny higher than mastering yourself, because the man who masters himself writes his own destiny. The one who doesn't is doomed to repeat what the world wants. The one who does becomes free, even if he walks alone. Arcano doesn't ask you to believe. It asks you to observe. It doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for awareness. Every moment of awareness is a victory. Every mastered thought is a conquest. Every transformed impulse is an evolution. Purpose doesn't need to be shouted. It's lived in silence. And when you live it, your presence alone changes the energy around you. That is the power of a mastered man. He doesn't try to influence, but he does. Because his mind, his energy, and his purpose move in the same rhythm. This is how the destiny of the Arcano man is forged. In silence, in fire, and in direction. There comes a point on the path when the fire stops being your enemy. You no longer fear it. You no longer fight it. You simply breathe with it. And then you realize, mastery was never about suppression. It was about harmony. It was never about extinguishing the fire, but learning to hold it without being burned. And when you can do that, something inside you changes forever. The mastered man no longer needs control. He doesn't fight his thoughts. He doesn't fear his impulses. His energy is still, but alive. His mind is calm, but alert. The fire remains, but now it shines instead of burns. That is the moment when silence becomes power. Loneliness stops being a weight. It becomes a temple. The man who has learned to be alone is never empty again. Inside him there is presence, direction, purpose. He has known the noise of the world, and he has chosen the sound of his own breath. And with every breath, he remembers who he is. He no longer needs to search for what he already carries within. Inner mastery doesn't separate you from the world. It connects you to it on another level. When you control your energy, you stop needing validation. You stop competing, comparing, explaining. You simply exist with intensity. Your very presence becomes a message. Your calm becomes a statement. Your silence becomes a mirror where others see their own chaos. True strength is silent. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It doesn't impose. It simply remains. The mastered man doesn't need to speak because his energy speaks for him. He doesn't need to prove his power because his eyes already show it. He doesn't need to conquer the world because he has conquered himself. When you reach mastery, time slows down. You stop chasing. You know that what is yours cannot be lost, and what leaves was never meant for you. Your attention no longer flickers like a flame in the wind. It becomes a steady sun. Your mind no longer reacts. It creates. Everything you do now comes from a deeper, cleaner, more real place. Freedom doesn't come when nothing binds you. It comes when nothing controls you. Not desire, not doubt, not fear. You finally see that you never needed more strength. You needed more awareness. Awareness brings light to what once looked like chaos. It shows you that every loss, every wound, every temptation was part of the training. Nothing was wasted. Every fall was a step toward clarity. Silence no longer feels heavy. It inspires. The mind no longer demands. It observes. The fire no longer screams. It guides. The Arcano man walks slowly because he understands that true power lives in the present. The future doesn't distract him. The past doesn't define him. His energy flows like a steady current. His purpose is no longer a goal. It's a way of living. Mastery doesn't make you perfect. It makes you conscious. And in that consciousness, you find peace. Not because everything is easy, but because you know you can face anything. Your balance no longer depends on the world. Your clarity no longer depends on the noise. You have become the center you were searching for. Arcano was never a method. It was a mirror. A way to remind you that power isn't something you chase. It is something you awaken. That fire isn't something you fear. It's something you guide. And silence isn't something you escape. It's something you inhabit. Now you know. And once a man knows, he can never return to ignorance. To be light is not to be weak. Light is born from fire. Only the one who has walked through darkness can shine without burning. Your strength is calm. Your energy is still. Your mind is your ally. That is mastery. That is freedom. Arcano lives in every man who dares to listen to silence. There are no temples, No masters, no initiations, only you, your breath, and your fire. Every day is practice. Every thought is creation. Every choice is power. Walk in silence, but let your presence be felt. Speak little, but let your words carry weight. See without fear, but with awareness. Love without possession, but with purpose. And remember, the fire that doesn't rule you guides you. The silence that doesn't scare you elevates you. The mastery that doesn't cage you frees you. This is the end of one path and the beginning of another. The path of the man who has seen himself without lies, who has held his fire without fear, who has made his mind an ally, and in his silence found his freedom. That man is you. That man is ARCANO.